The through line of my story is about people who reached down and pulled me up, even though there was cost to themselves or no benefit to them whatsoever. They saw something in me I didn't see in myself, but they were my protectors. They're all part of my wolf pack. So as I look back on this time, I can tell you, as I then graduated and started working at P&G, I was two things. I was hard. When I'd see somebody asking for money, I'd say, get a job. How many of you have ever done that? Don't raise your hands, but how many of you have ever done that? How many of you have had somebody ask you for something and you say, and I've said this over and over again, you put yourself in the situation, you'll have to figure a way out, because I didn't understand that I had protectors and wolf packs, so my mentality of being in poverty and thinking I pulled myself up by myself was a fallacy that I didn't understand at this point. It also caused me to be incredibly stingy, because I didn't want to give my money away to anybody, because I thought they're either going to misuse it or they're going to misappropriate it or something's going to happen. In my mind, I had two pictures. I had a picture of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Forgive me, for we have sinned. We have spent your money unwisely. And the televangelist portion. And then Billy Ray Valentine, also known as Eddie Murphy in the movie Trading Places. Can you help a brother out? Can you help a brother out? So con artists and people who would take my money and misappropriate it. That's how I pictured my giving, was through the lens of those two things. But interestingly, it was dolls that changed my perspective on this. Dolls. You guys are like, well, what's the rest of the story there? So we're living in Asia, and we went to Bali, Indonesia, and these are Balinese dolls. And we were walking down the street, and there's a series of like 10 by 10 kiosks, cinder block cement, covered with thatched roofs. And we saw these from the street, so we went in, and you can tell intricate detail, hand-carved, amazing. $25 US was the asking price. $25. I remember going in, because at this time, I was hard of heart and I was stingy. And I remember going in, and the woman in her late 20s, early 30s, negotiation to me was a sport. And much to my wife's chagrin, I started negotiating with this woman, and I won. And I got her down to $12. And I couldn't pat myself on the back enough as I reached into my stingy pocket to pull out my wallet to pay her. But as I did that, something happened. I looked down, and I saw a piece of cardboard. And on that piece of cardboard was a 4-year-old girl. And as I looked around the room, I saw 2 bedrolls in the corner, and then I saw a little table with things on it, clearly a kitchen table. And in the other corner, I saw shelves with clothes on it. So not only was this their business, this is where they lived. I remember it hit me at that moment. I'm like, who am I? Who am I that I'm not so far removed from who these people are? And I'm negotiating with them as a sport when they need something from me. I was not a protector in the least. So I pulled out, and you guys would be like, whoa, big spender. I pulled out $35, and I gave it to her. It was $10 over her asking price. In my mind, I said, she can use that $10 back to the $2 a day thing way more than I can. But it planted a seed in me and really changed my perspective. I learned from dolls. And over the years, I've become significantly more generous. And thanks to my wife in a lot of ways, and how God has worked on my heart as I've come in a relationship with Christ, really to be a lot more generous with my time, my talent, my treasure, because of what God has planted me in the story of my life, which could have caused me to be hard. And that's an odd thing about poverty. A lot of people who make it through think they do it on their own, and I know now it had nothing to do with me.